My name is Emma and I am 20 years old. I had spent years imagining the moment. I would finally breathe without pressure crushing my ribs. The day I would choose myself without apology. And that moment arrived quietly the morning I quit my job. There was no dramatic speech, no slammed door, just a calm email and a trembling finger hovering over the send button. For years, I had worked overtime, swallowed insults from clients, and lived inside a schedule that treated my life like an afterthought. I told myself it was temporary. That exhaustion was the price of stability. But stability never came, only deeper fatigue. So, I walked away. 3 weeks later, after draining my savings and terrifying every practical voice in my head, I bought my dream beach house to heal. It wasn't a mansion, not the kind splashed across magazines. But to me, it felt like a miracle made of sunlight and salt air. The windows opened to endless blue water, waves whispering instead of traffic screaming. The first evening, I sat barefoot on the wooden deck, watching the horizon melt into gold, feeling something unfamiliar, peace without conditions. That night, the dream beach house became reality. Just as I began to believe I had escaped the noise of my past, my phone rang. My mother's name lit the screen, and a knot instantly formed in my stomach. I almost ignored it, but guilt is a stubborn habit. I answered. She didn't greet me. She didn't ask how I was. Her voice carried the same authority it always had, the tone that assumed my compliance before I spoke. "We're moving in tomorrow. Your dad said it's fine." For a second, my mind refused to process the sentence. The words floated there, absurd and heavy. I froze. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air tighter, as if the ocean itself had retreated. I managed a weak, confused laugh, thinking it had to be a joke. Silence answered me. Then she added, colder and sharper, "If you don't like it, you can find somewhere else." The audacity hit like a physical blow. This was my house. My risk. My fragile attempt at rebuilding a life that had never truly belonged to me. Yet somehow, in her mind, it was already theirs. My hand shook so badly I had to grip the edge of the kitchen counter. Old emotions rushed back, anger, disbelief, that familiar childhood helplessness. Growing up, my parents had always treated my achievements like communal property. My scholarships were family victories. My salary was family support. My boundaries were inconveniences. Distance had not changed their expectations. It had only delayed them. I could hear my father faintly in the background. Not speaking, just existing as silent reinforcement. That hurt more than if he had argued. I should have protested. I should have shouted. Instead, years of conditioning forced politeness into my voice. I asked questions I already knew the answers to. How long? Why? What about my space? My mother brushed everything aside with casual entitlement, speaking of my home like a vacation rental they had booked. When the call ended, the house that had felt like sanctuary minutes earlier now felt invaded. Contaminated. I paced for hours, rage and panic wrestling inside me. Selling the house was impossible. Letting them take over was unthinkable. Every scenario left me cornered. But beneath the fear, something else began to form, a slow, steady clarity. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trapped under their roof, dependent on their approval. This time, the ground was mine. The rules were mine. And suddenly, the trembling stopped. If they wanted to claim my peace, they would have to confront a version of me they had never met. By dawn, my shock had transformed into a plan. They expected obedience. Accommodation. Surrender. They expected the same Emma who bent, who adjusted, who sacrificed. They had no idea how much I had changed. Morning arrived wrapped in deceptive calm. I woke early, not from anxiety, but from focus. There would be no screaming match, no emotional explosion they could twist into proof of instability. This would be precise. Controlled. Unforgettable. By the time the sun climbed over the water, my beach house no longer felt like a retreat. It felt like a courtroom without a judge. My parents arrived exactly as promised. Their SUV rolled into the driveway with the confidence of people who believed they were expected. They didn't knock. Of course they didn't. My mother pushed the door open and entered like a victor crossing a finish line. "Emma, you really should have cleaned the entryway," she called out. Criticism before affection. As always. I greeted them with a calm smile that immediately unsettled her. I prepared something for you, I said evenly. 3 thick folders rested neatly on the table. What is this? She demanded. Receipts, I answered. Agreements. Records. Everything connected to the last 10 years of my life. Inside were bank transfers, loan repayments, utility bills, medical expenses, documented conversations, numbers, dates, evidence. I tracked every financial favor. Every time I was told family helps family. Are you seriously trying to bill your parents? I'm establishing boundaries, I corrected. Legally and permanently. Then I placed a short-term rental agreement on top. Their names already printed. You said you were moving in. But this is my house. No one lives here without my terms. If you stay as tenants. Temporary. Conditional. Respectful. The explosion came. Accusations, selfish, ungrateful, ridiculous. But for the first time, her words had nowhere to land. My father finally spoke. Emma, this is extreme. No, I replied quietly. What was extreme was assuming you could take my life whenever it suited you. The confrontation stretched. Then something shifted. My mother looked around the room, not with ownership, but with recognition of exclusion. I love you, I said finally. But love without respect is just control wearing a kinder mask. That ends here. No shouting followed. No dramatic storming out. Just silence. They could accept my terms or leave. For once, the choice was entirely theirs. When they walked back toward the door, my mother looked smaller. My father looked older. Not defeated, just confronted by consequence. I watched them drive away from the deck where I had once dreamed of peace, the ocean roaring softly behind me like quiet applause. Some victories are loud and cinematic. Mine was silent. Precise. Undeniable. Because the welcome I prepared was not revenge. It was independence.